Welcome to the Shrink Wrap Show. I'm Pam Hernandez-Kaufman.
And I'm Talia Peak. We're two shrinks bringing you holistic health hacks.
With our 30 years of combined experience in therapy, we share helpful information about common issues that everyone faces.
Then we break down powerful, proven tools you can start using right away to better your life and your relationships.
Let's wrap.
Welcome back to the Shrink Wrap Show. We are going to talk about boundaries today.
We are.
Yay!
Good to see everybody.
Yeah. So boundaries is one of our favorite topics that we talk about in pretty much every single thing that we go to.
It's an important one for all of us.
For everybody.
Boundaries apply to every single human being alive.
Absolutely. Children need boundaries.
Yep.
They need a framework, and adults need it. Teens definitely need it. I mean, everybody needs
I don't know that we heard about boundaries until Henry Cloud and John Townsend came along and said, hey, we need to talk about healthy and unhealthy
Right.
boundaries.
Right.
What and it was, what are those?
Yeah,
And many of us learned unhealthy boundaries.
absolutely.
We did not learn when it was okay to say no and when it was okay to say yes, and what our personal space should look like, what our rights and responsibilities were, and what was somebody else's.
Mhm.
So we like to look at healthy boundaries and a couple types of unhealthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So we're going to go through this today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that they need to know is that boundaries are physical,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
emotional, and even mental.
Yep.
And I love your
house?
house.
When I do the house?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Right. So we want to think about ourselves as a house,
Mm-hmm.
and we will allow into our house
Mm-hmm.
whomever we will
Right.
through the front door.
Right.
They got to come in the front door. They don't get to come in a back entryway that's left unlocked.
Yeah.
So I have a gate
To the yard.
to the
Yep.
yard.
Yep.
And I may have people in my life who are only going to be in my yard.
Exactly.
But if you are if you are vetted by
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
I'll let you into my house. And again, I'm allowing you. Now we say fence or gate,
Mhm.
not wall,
Right.
not a brick wall.
Right. Not a brick wall.
So boundaries are going to protect me from
Mhm.
you and you from me.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to be flexible. They need to be flexible.
Right.
They're going to need to move. So we'll give you a couple of examples, but let's talk about the ones that are not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we call these bad news boundaries.
Bad news boundaries. Actually, Henry Cloud and John Townsend coined those, but we
Bad
like
news
those
boundaries.
words.
Yeah, we do.
Bad news boundaries.
So the first one is detached or rigid. So this is like if you had a wall built around your house. This is where I have my space, you have your space. I don't want to deal with any of your stuff. But I might be like, "Hi, what's up?"
Yes.
But that's about it.
So we have, this is like two parallel lives,
Mm-hmm.
not interacting necessarily with one another. So we like to use hula hoops when we're showing this in real time. And if we had them today, we'd use them, but we don't. So we're going to use fingers like hula hoops, right? So rigid boundaries would be, we've got two separate hula hoops not touching one another.
Yeah. This would kind of be like if you were going to Chick-fil-A. You don't really know them, but you're going to be friendly. You're not going to tell them your whole life story or anything like that. So a good healthy boundary would be like, hey, it's nice to meet you, that kind of thing. So that's a healthy relationship boundary. It's like an acquaintance.
Right.
That you would
But
talk
we
about.
also might have this kind of boundary. If you have hurt me,
Exactly.
if you are not safe and you're
Exactly.
toxic for me, then I'm going to have to pull out
Mhm.
from you.
Mhm.
Bad news boundary number 2.
Bad news boundary number 2 is complete enmeshment
All right.
or collapse.
Collapsed boundaries.
So a lot of people that have codependency have this.
Mhm.
And when we're looking at the house, this looks like there's no fence and there's no lock on your door, and people just come in and tell you what you need to do, how you should decorate. That's like the the imagination that I have with it.
You've lost control.
You lost control.
You've lost control.
You've lost
And there's no
control.
differentiation between you and me. So in a hula
Exactly.
hoop version, we would see this being an overlapping loops. So, and also think of Venn diagrams from when you were in school, right? So this is going to be a Venn diagram where one of the circles is almost completely covering the other one.
Yeah.
So
you
that
don't know who.
what's the
is who.
difference between you and me? What am I responsible for? What are you responsible for? I'm all up in your business, or you're all up in mine.
Right.
And so, not healthy. This
Yeah.
is not helpful for either
Exactly.
party.
Yeah.
Healthy boundary.
A healthy boundary is I have rights, you have rights. You can come into my house and you can tell me what's going on in your life, and I can tell you what's going on in my life. We can share the same interests. We can have disagreements and be healthy in our disagreements. It's okay for you to have disagreements.
And
Not all
I've
the
given you
time.
permission
Right.
to be in my house. You've given me permission to be in yours.
Exactly.
So this is going to be
the Venn diagram.
Venn diagram where it's like there's a me, there's a you, and there's an us.
Right.
And we negotiate this. This may move in and out as our relationship shifts over time. Maybe there's some kind of a rupture in the relationship and I pull out a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more of a close bond that we form and I pull in a little bit, and there's a little bit more of us and a little bit less of you and me. But we need to have, for a healthy life and healthy relationships, we need to have three entities.
Yes.
Exactly. In the relationship.
Yeah. And the way I really kind of look at this, and I'm going to choose to use my relationship with my spouse, my husband. He has certain hobbies that he likes, and I have certain hobbies that I like. And I'm not going to be like, oh no, you need to be in my hobby. You need to go kayaking and you need to go riding horses with me.
Such
all
a good
the time.
example.
And he's not like, oh, you need to play, video games with me. I don't do that. So having a healthy relationship looks like you give and take. You allow each other to have those, hobbies that you like, or people that you want to hang out with that maybe he doesn't want to hang out with, or
completely.
Yeah.
You collaborate.
Exactly.
Collaborate. And so I have my things, you have your things, and we have our things together.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting part about boundaries, and this has always been the case in doing therapy for a lot of years. Let's say someone has very unhealthy boundaries. They've not really understood, golly, I don't think I want you to tell me what I should do all the time. And I begin to learn that's an unhealthy, I don't have a boundary.
Right. Yeah.
Typically what happens is people tend to overshoot their wad.
Yep.
So now you're violating my boundary. Get out of my space.
Yeah.
And so we can tend to be a little bit aggressive with that. Well, that pulls back into a normal place over time as you practice with it. It takes practice.
Yeah.
So should we show them a couple of examples of,
absolutely.
That's not the right way to say that. And
I'm going to hold on to this little piece of paper because I don't want to get it wrong for you. Okay. So some examples of boundaries that are not actually boundaries. You cannot talk to me like that. So why do you think that's not a boundary?
So we look at this and we say, well, sure, I can talk to you any way I want to.
Exactly.
Right? I have the right to do that.
Yeah.
But a better way to say it would be,
if you talk to me like that, I will have to hang up the phone.
All right. So she's given not necessarily a demand. It's not a demand. And it also is not a wish, please.
Right. Yeah.
It's coming from a place of assertiveness, saying, you can talk to me any way you want to. However, if you do, I'm going to have to usher you out the gate.
Right. I'm going to have to choose to remove myself from the situation.
And I have the power and the authority in how I state that. Now, of course, I'm hoping for a certain outcome as I say this. They may choose to continue talking to me that way. And that's something that we hear a lot in therapy, isn't it?
Yep.
What do I do when I'm attempting to really learn how to implement healthy boundaries and the person I'm in a relationship with is ignoring me or they don't have, hey, listen, all you can do is keep doing your very best. And by modeling it, one would hope that the other person comes on board and starts to pick up the lingo.
Yeah, and I think the very important part of that is as long as you continue to be consistent with your boundary and you model a calm presence with it, not being overbearing in any kind of way, but just be calm in it and not not get too much pressure into it.
Yeah, we're going to be consistent, keep doing it. And listen,
this is a regulating thing.
This is a regulating thing. If you have had no boundaries in a relationship and you begin to ask for them, request them, ooh, you are not popular.
That person is going offline. We mean I've gone over your boundary. So
but notice the difference. Talia, go ahead and deliver that line again.
Yes.
But in a more aggressive form.
You can't talk to me like that, Pam.
Yeah. Now, those are fighting words, and I want to come back at her.
Right.
All she said was, you can talk to me that way if you choose to, but then I will choose to do something else.
Right. Exactly.
I love that example. What's our other example?
You need to be more considerate and thoughtful.
Okay, what I want to say to her on that is I don't need to do anything.
Exactly.
Or, well, you know what you need to do.
Right.
So then I rubber band it.
Yeah, exactly.
What's a better way to say that?
I would like you to treat me respectfully, and if you don't, that's okay. But I will not invest more time into this relationship.
I'm asking for some respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. And if you choose to, good.
Yeah.
Then we can invest together in the relationship. If you can't do that, I deserve it.
Right.
And I'm going to have to make some changes.
Exactly.
So again, I'm holding the power here. Now, it doesn't feel great if the person decides to come back at me. But again, say that in a different way.
The bad one?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to be more considerate and thoughtful.
Yeah. Or an accusatory way. You're always inconsiderate and unthoughtful. I can't handle the way, right? And now I've got fighting words,
right? And
this is not going to be fruitful or productive.
Exactly.
For getting what I want to get. Because what I really want to get out of this is you and I get along better.
Yeah.
You and I, neither one feels like anybody's invading their house.
Exactly.
No one's staying outside the gate, across the street, down the road, and all of those kinds of things.
In Chick-fil-A.
In Chick-fil-A. Healthy boundaries. They're called healthy for a reason because healthy boundaries cause growth. Healthy boundaries cause us to change, to become better versions of ourselves.
Exactly.
And so often when I'm the only one that has them in a relationship, as I begin to use those kinds of words, it's interesting how change can come.
Yeah. And boundaries are not expectations, ultimatums, demands,
threats, challenges, sermons.
Yeah, those are not boundaries at all. Mandates. Oh yeah. I mean, really, it's really about your rights and my rights and how we can be together.
And we probably should just do a quick mention about metacommunication, right? So I can also say these things in a very kind, calm fashion, but I can have a posture.
Right, exactly.
That is going to tell you something different than how I'm saying it. So we stay open, and we keep it low and slow. We love boundaries.
Yes,
we encourage you to read the Boundaries book. There are many.
There are
the teenage version, the kid version, the marital version, the regular version.
Yeah.
And boundaries are an essential for every single relationship.
Yeah. So I hope this was helpful for you today.
We have a time boundary.
Yes, we have a time boundary. But yes, we hope that this was helpful for you today. And take a look at some really good resources for boundaries are Henry Cloud and Townsend. And,
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
We're so glad you joined us today on the Shrink Wrap Show.
If you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share the show with people you care about.
Also, your feedback is valuable, so leave a comment, question, or suggestion, and we'll see you next time on the Shrink Wrap Show.